welcome to This Day. It is Tuesday, May 11th. Now we do have one very important meeting to tell you about today. It is the United Board meeting, and it will be televised right here on Village Television following our morning broadcast of This Day, so somewhere around the 9:30 time frame. And if you aren't watching it here on Village Television, you can always go to lagunawoodsvillage.com/meetings. Now on our show today, we have Supervisor Lisa Bartlett, who's going to give us an update, of course, on the COVID numbers, vaccines, and a couple of new programs that are coming down the pike. And then we have Memorial Care with Dr. Shaw, who is a gastroenterologist, and he's going to talk to us all about why it is so important for us to make sure we have those colonoscopies. All right, COVID-19 vaccine information is pretty much the same as it has been. Please register with othina.com to go to many of the vaccine sites here in Orange County, as well as vaccinefinder.org, where you can find the vaccine in stock in many of our grocery stores and pharmacies. Our weather is looking pretty good this week. You know, we've got fog to burn off pretty much each morning, as we normally would around this time of year. Low clouds and sun today, 74-57, tomorrow 74-62. Thursday, partly sunny, 76-57. Friday, looking pretty good, 73-57, and then Saturday, 71-54. Now, our sunrise this morning was at 5:53, and our sunset will be at 7:42. And can you guess what day it is? It is the Twilight Zone Day. The television show The Twilight Zone was created, written, and narrated by Rod Serling. It premiered on October 1st, 1959, and the episodes were widely popular, stretched the imagination, and captivated viewers. The show aired from 1959 to 1964. Always a fun and creative show. All right, when we come back, we will have Supervisor Lisa Bartlett. Stay tuned.
At Harvard Eye, we're so happy to be open again to see you for all of your medical and surgical eye care. We're taking great care to protect everyone from COVID-19 by seeing fewer patients, spacing out chairs in the lobby, sanitizing our office constantly, and doing much more. The world is changing a lot, but what hasn't changed is we're honored by your trust and confidence and committed to keeping you safe. We can't wait to see you again.
Welcome back. Today I am joined by Supervisor Lisa Bartlett, who is here to give us updates and some great information about what's been going on. Well, Lisa, thank you for joining me today.
Always a pleasure to be here.
And you always have such great information. And of course, today is not any different. You've got some great things to share with us. So go right ahead.
Okay, so relative to the COVID-19 update, the various tiers and metrics, Orange County is currently still in the orange tier. 2 out of 3 of our metrics are in the yellow tier. So as soon as our case count per 100,000 reaches below 2, then we'll be able to move into the yellow tier. But we're also hoping that on June the 15th, that the tier system disappears and the state will be open at 100%. So our metrics are looking good for the county, and hopefully statewide, the metrics are going to continue to hold as well. We've now got more than 1 million individuals that have been vaccinated through Othina. So about 1.5 million people countywide have had at least 1 dose of vaccine. And we know we want to get to that herd immunity, so which means 70%. So with our population, that's about 2.24 million people. So with 1.5 million people having at least 1 dose of vaccine, that means we have to vaccinate about 740,000 more individuals. But now that we've opened it up to age 16 and above, we are vaccinating at our superpod sites. We're getting our mobile pods out into communities. And I'm happy to report that over 85% of the seniors in my district have been vaccinated. So that's a very good statistic. And I really want to thank the residents for doing such a great job. We could not have done that without the cooperation of everyone involved. So really a great milestone to reach. And I encourage those that have not been vaccinated to please do so. They can sign up at othina.com, OTHENA.com, or go through their healthcare provider or their pharmacy. We now have a number of locations that are convenient throughout the county where people can get vaccinated. And then again, just even when you get vaccinated, please continue to adhere to the health and safety protocols. Wear a face covering in public, maintain social distancing, and continue to practice good hygiene. And before we know it, our economy will get back on track. And we're all looking forward to that June 15th date as well.
Absolutely. Now, one thing that I've been sharing with our residents, it's called vaccinefinder.org. And that seems to be able to tell them where the vaccination is in stock at various grocery stores, as pharmacies, and things like that. And that seems to help. I wanted to ask you about Athena.com. How readily available are appointments?
You can get appointments now, same day on Athena.com. So highly encourage everyone to log onto the website, and you can schedule your appointment the same day that you want to get vaccinated.
Great, that's good information. Okay, super. And you know what's interesting is on the vaccination numbers, you know, I thought I had read somewhere that it was a little higher than that. Do you still have numbers that are still out there that you need to collect?
We do, because the numbers that we have are primarily through our Athena.com application.
Okay.
And there are still numbers coming in from our hospitals and from the pharmacies and so on. And they have to report up to the state before the county gets that information. So there's always a little bit of a lag. So we're probably doing much better than the 1.5 million that we have recorded. But we have to just basically give out information that we have on hand. But we hope that it's a lot higher based on all of these other entities that are currently vaccinating in the county.
Right, exactly. That's great. Good information. And like you said, everybody's been really on top of it. Now, in terms of testing, have they been scaling back some of the testing, or is it still pretty readily available?
We still have robust testing going on throughout the county. We are scaling back a little bit on our SuperPod sites, simply because we have so many people now that have been vaccinated. And we're now moving to a focus on the mobile pods. But our SuperPod sites at SoCa and the Anaheim Convention Center and the fairgrounds are still open, and I believe Santa Ana College as well. The Disney drive-through site is now closed because we vaccinated so many seniors, and those were mainly the individuals coming through that drive-through location. Right. But as far as vaccinations, there was a pause, as you know, on the J&J vaccine, but April the 29th, the county resumed administering pursuant to the CDC guidelines. Mm-hmm. And so now the county is offering the 3 different vaccines, Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson, and individuals can actually go online and make a selection of which vaccine they want when they register on the Athena application. So the healthcare agency closed the COVID-19 testing super sites at the OC Fair and Event Center and the Anaheim Convention Center, and that was done on April the 30th. We'll continue to make testing more accessible at no cost through more of the neighborhood sites as opposed to the SuperPod locations. And we'll continue to offer the at-home options that can be ordered online. So anyone who wants to get tested, you can contact our healthcare agency or even one of our board offices, and we can get you one of our mail-in kits at no charge that you can utilize for testing. So we recommend testing if anyone has any symptoms of COVID, or if they've been exposed to anyone who's had COVID. And so for more information, people can go on to ochealthinfo.com/COVID test and get more information.
Have you heard about whether or not they're going to have the antibody testing?
We hope to have the antibody testing more readily available in the future, because the antibody testing is important if you've had COVID or if you think you've had COVID, to get the antibody test, because then it'll let you know with some certainty that you've probably had COVID and that you've built up some antibodies. And also we can utilize some of the antibodies for individuals that have COVID to make sure that they can get through the process a lot quicker and recover faster. So there's a whole host of things from a medical perspective where the antibodies are really critical for healthcare.
Okay, all right, that's great. That's great. Okay, so now the Nutrition Gap program. Tell me more about that.
So as we know, during COVID, food insecurity was a big thing, and it still is a big thing for people that have been laid off and families that are struggling. But for many of our seniors, and they did a tremendous job staying at home, and some of them are still hesitant to go out. to the grocery store or to the pharmacy, et cetera. So we want to make sure that as we continue to pull through the COVID pandemic, that all of our seniors have access to good, nutritious meals. So we're going to be announcing the launching of round 2 of our Nutrition Gap program. And this will be for eligible District 5 residents. It'll be similar to the Nutrition Gap program that we launched last year. So we'll continue to address food insecurities caused by COVID-19 for seniors 55 plus, persons with disabilities, and other demographics as well. We're going to be utilizing $2 million of funding from the American Rescue Plan, and this will be coordinated through our Office on Aging. So stay tuned, more information will come. People can call our office to get more information. Check my newsletters on Friday. I email that out every Friday. It'll have information in there as well. And we'll try to get some informational flyers over to the Laguna Woods offices as well.
Oh, that's great. That is such a nice program. I mean, it's nice that we're still able to do that and continue to do so. So thank you for getting that coordinated.
You're welcome. And the meals are actually delivered right to their doorstep. So it makes it so convenient for our seniors that are still hesitant, or for whatever reason, they don't have transportation, or they just don't want to go out in public just yet. We're happy to get those meals delivered right to their doorstep.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Now, you guys had a senior summit. It was a virtual senior summit. How did it go?
It was fantastic. Just like some of the other virtual events, during times of COVID, we've had to adjust. And the in-person events, we just couldn't have, especially the big events like our senior summit, where at our last in-person senior summit, we had over 2,000 people in attendance. So with our virtual senior summit, we had a pre-recorded program featuring a panel of experts providing timely presentations related to our theme for this year's event, which was Safe and Healthy Senior Living in the Age of COVID-19. So very appropriate. And some of the speakers included Dr. Clayton Chow, our healthcare officer, representatives from the Orange County Office on Aging, Agewell Senior Services, CalOptima, Saddleback College Emeritus Institute, and UCI Mind. And the program included presentations on the specific impacts of COVID-19 on the older adult population and how seniors can continue to live safely, healthy, and happily during these challenging and unprecedented times.
Oh, that's great. How long was the program?
The program itself was about an hour, and it was very well received. We're getting a lot of great feedback from the public that has been on to the website and has viewed the program. So I encourage everyone to take a look, and I know that Laguna Woods is no different in helping us out to make sure that seniors in Laguna Woods have an opportunity to see it as well.
Yep, we actually will be airing that right here on Village Television, and they can check their local listings to see what dates and times. So excellent. Well, I'm glad that worked out so well. That is great. You know, I mean, I tell you, if we didn't have Zoom, what would we have done? So good thing we have that. All right. Now, very interesting. There was a Facebook Live discussion about what to do about the fuel and what was happening at the plant right down there near San Clemente. So can you give me an update on that?
Absolutely. So as we all know, the San Onofre Nuclear Generating Station, or SONGS as we know it, is in the process of getting decommissioned. And it's been in the process literally for decades. So we've had various groups from time to time that have been pushing at all levels of government, local, state, and federal, to try to get the plant fully decommissioned, meaning we've got to get the spent fuel off site. And it hasn't been with great success, because we have 123 canisters of spent nuclear fuel on site in dry cask storage. So it's about time that we really have a major push to get the spent fuel moved off site. And so I am co-chairing a new coalition that is a very broad-based, well-funded coalition by the two counties, San Diego and Orange County, along with major stakeholders. It's called Action for Spent Fuel Solutions Now. And as I indicated, it's going to be a very strong, broad-based, well-funded coalition, and we're going to push at all levels of government, the local, state, and federal level. The co-chair is San Diego County Supervisor Jim Desmond, and we are going to be formulating a major coalition to push the federal government to actually go ahead and provide that offsite storage and also the permanent repository for the spent nuclear fuel at SONGS. We need enabling legislation, so we need our legislators to help us in Washington, D.C. And the legislation will help us get the funding and allow us to use both private and public consent-based locations for offsite storage. So we have a major push at the federal level relative to trying to make this happen. And the legislation is important, funding is important because it's expensive to move. Right. And also the general administrative policies to advancing the consolidated interim storage and also a permanent repository are top of mind for all of the residents in the area. Because until we get this spent fuel moved off-site, it poses a significant problem on a long-term basis. We have unique factors relative to our nuclear power plant that the other 14 plants that are getting decommissioned across the nation don't have. We have major population centers. Millions of people are residents around the nuclear power plant. We're in an earthquake zone. We have an active military base. We only have one highway through this area. So we should be raised to the top of the priority list to make sure that as the spent fuel gets moved off site, we are one of the top priority sites to make that happen.
Okay, so now if people do want more information about that, where do they go?
They can go onto the website for actionforspentfuelssolutionsnow.com
okay.
and get more information. And we encourage everyone to basically put forth their time and effort into supporting the coalition, but also they can go online and join the coalition as a supporter. My colleagues on the Board of Supervisors unanimously supported a resolution at our last board meeting to work at all levels of government to get the spent fuel moved, which is so important for our residents. As we wrap up, I just want everyone to stay safe and healthy. We're getting through this COVID pandemic, and before we know it, our economy will be back to normal again. Memorial Day is also coming up, where we pay honor and tribute to all of our military personnel who have fought and died serving our great country. Continue to stay engaged. Sign up for my e-newsletter at www.bartlett.com, and also follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And if anyone ever wants to just pick up the phone and call with a question or to chat, my direct office number is 714-834-3550.
Right, excellent. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
And we'll be right back after this.
Welcome back. 7A Dental is making a difference. Doctor, please tell us about how you're helping parents and children. Mom.
We know preventive dentistry is the key. Starting now, all children 15 years and younger will receive a free dental exam. If work is needed on your children, we will use our resources to help find funding.
Thank you, doctor. Okay, parents, give your child the 7A Dental smile.
Welcome back. Well, today I am joined by Dr. Ketan Shah, who is here on behalf of Memorial Care Saddleback Medical Center. Well, Dr. Shah, it's so nice to meet you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Lisa.
Now, you're a gastroenterologist over at Memorial Care Saddleback Medical Center, and a variety of things that are happening right now with colorectal cancer. But before we get into that, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Well, I'm a native Californian. I was born and raised in Southern California. I did my undergraduate studies at UCLA, then went across town to USC for medical school and business school. I completed a dual residency program in both internal medicine and pediatrics at Duke University in North Carolina. Then I quickly came back to California for a gastroenterology fellowship and was lucky to be trained by some of the world's experts at UC Irvine. Then in 2015, I joined the Saddleback Medical Group, and I've been lucky to have been with them since then.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, to go to the East Coast and have been raised here in Southern California, it's nice to get back, isn't it?
It was a change and very nice to get back.
Oh, I bet. I bet. Now, colorectal cancer versus prostate cancer. Can you give me a definition of colorectal cancer and then also tell me the differences between that and prostate cancer?
Yes, great question. Both are very common cancers. The prostate is a gland that's in the urinary system and a very common cancer among men. But the colon is otherwise known as the large intestine, and it makes up the last 5 feet of the 25 feet of intestines that we have.
Mm-hmm.
The rectum is the lower part of the colon, which stores our stool. Cancer of the colon or rectum, or colorectal cancer, is the 4th most common cause of cancer and the 2nd most common cause of cancer deaths in this country. Over 50,000 people die from colorectal cancer each year.
And most people, I think, not necessarily in the medical terms, but call it colon cancer, correct?
That's right. I think the terms these days can be used interchangeably, and someone who has rectal cancer would potentially be considered to have colon cancer as well. But the more broad term is colorectal cancer.
Okay. Now, is there a particular age where people need to be concerned about this?
Yes, I mean for most cancers, the more common age is when we get older. And so that's why screening is recommended to start around 45 or 50. And I think we'll talk more about that in just a bit.
Yes, exactly. Now, what are some of the things that people can do to reduce their risk of colon cancer?
Yeah, there are several so-called modifiable risk factors, which are things we can do to lower our risk of getting colorectal cancer. They mainly consist of diet, weight, and physical activity. Being overweight, obese, and having inadequate physical activity are risk factors for colorectal cancer. So losing excess weight, maintaining a normal weight, and being physically active most days of the week are protective factors.
Mm-hmm.
Eating excess red meat and processed meat, as well as smoking and alcohol consumption, are also risk factors. So minimizing these, as well as increasing our intake of fiber, dairy, fruits, vegetables, and calcium, as well as eating a vegetarian diet, are proven to reduce the risk of getting colorectal cancer.
A lot of these diets today really are pushing people to eat more red meat and to eat more protein. So I have a feeling, maybe you can help me understand, are you seeing more cases of concern for colon cancer based on people switching to these kinds of diets?
Well, I think in general, some people's poor eating habits, as well as other poor lifestyle decisions, such as being too sedentary or having excess weight, are all risk factors. And yes, eating excess meat, especially red meat and processed meat, are risk factors and can certainly contribute.
Okay. Now, if someone is feeling different kinds of symptoms, what are some of the things they should be aware of?
Yeah, the most common symptoms of colorectal cancer include like rectal bleeding, anemia, change in bowel habits, and unexpected weight loss. But not to say that everyone with these symptoms has colorectal cancer. The major problem, however, is that when a person has symptoms from colon cancer, then over 50% of the time it's diagnosed at an advanced stage when it's too late to be cured. On the other hand, over 90% of early stage or curable colon cancers are diagnosed during routine screening exams.
Right. And when you say routine screening exams, what are you referring to?
Well, there are several major types of screening. There are several approved methods to screen for colon cancer. In 2017, the 3 major GI societies recommended these tests in 3 different tiers. In the first tier, they recommended either getting a FIT or fecal immunohistochemical test every year or a colonoscopy every 10 years. The FIT test is a stool test that people commonly remember as smearing some stool on a card and sending it in. This test is very effective at detecting and lowering the risk of dying from colon cancer. But what many people don't realize is that it has to be done every year to perform at its rated sensitivity, which is that it detects about 80% of cancers. Remember, that means it misses up to 15 to 20% of cancers.
Right.
Colonoscopy is the gold standard for screening for colorectal cancer, which means that all other tests are compared against colonoscopy to determine their sensitivity. A colonoscopy is a commonly performed procedure where a physician like myself inserts a small flexible tube about the size of my little finger that has a camera and a light at the end of it. And we insert this into the rectum and we examine the entire 5 feet of colon. It takes about half an hour. The main benefit of colonoscopy is that we're not only able to detect colon cancer with great accuracy, we are also able to find and remove precancerous growths called polyps during this exam, which allows us to almost completely prevent colorectal cancer before it even develops. Precancerous polyps are extremely common. Up to 50% of people over the age of 50 have precancerous polyps. So it's very important to find and remove these before they ever turn into cancer.
So a question for you, of course, most of us just really don't want to drink that stuff before the exam. Have they come up with something new yet?
Yes, there are various reasons why people are hesitant to have a colonoscopy. And you're right, the most common reason is the prep. And yes, the colon does need to be cleaned out prior to the exam to allow us to detect any abnormalities like polyps or cancer. And yes, this is everyone's or most people's least favorite part. The prep has gotten better though, and there are several lower volume preps and some newer pill preps available on the market. The lowest volume preparation is only 5 ounces of prep per dose, followed by 32 ounces of water. And the taste has also gotten much better too. Other people are concerned about pain during the procedure, which is why we give most patients some sedation to take the edge off. So most people don't really remember their exam. But on the other hand, some people are concerned about being sedated and the side effects of sedation. So some of us do offer the exam without any sedation, and most patients are pleasantly surprised by the experience of having it this way. And about 90% of patients who choose to have their exam without any sedation say that they would choose to have it again the same way. Some patients worry about the possible risks of a colonoscopy, and though we can never guarantee that nothing serious will happen, the overall rate of serious adverse events from colonoscopy is less than 1 in 1,000, and the rate of something very serious like a perforation occurring is less than 1 in 2,000.
Man, well, that's good news. I mean, I really like the fact that they have come up with some new ways for us to feel more comfortable getting this, because I tell you, and I'm actually glad that they changed it from 5 years to 10 years, because then I think our anxiety of getting one is lessened because, oh, well, I didn't have one until for 10 years. So, well, good. Well, great information. I appreciate you outlining everything for us. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
All right. And we'll be right back after this.
Welcome back. Well, we just wanted to remind you that coming up right after our morning This Day program is the United Board meeting. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Let's take a look at the weather real quick one last time. It's looking pretty good this whole week. 70s with the overnights and the high 50s. And we're looking at burning off that morning fog pretty much each day to sunshine. So have a great day in the village, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Even though some things are far away, we plan for them ahead of time because they're important. When it comes to your celebration of life, it's really no different. You want to plan ahead now so your family doesn't have to later, and create a service that reflects your values, character, and traditions, no matter what they may be. At Dignity Memorial, we listen to every detail and make sure everyone is remembered.